Once upon a time, the world was ruled by giants, beings known as Titans with incredible powers that helped them control nature and the world around them. And among these Titans, there was the Mother Titan herself, Gaia, who gave birth to a very strange being who the mortals of her world named Ophelia, with the tail of an orca and the horns and wings of a dragon. But when the gods found out about the newest member of the Titans family, they cast her away into the sea, where the god Oceanus took pity on her and raised her as one of his own. As time went on, the little Titan began to grow and adapt to her world below the surface, but she still wanted more. She knew that there was a world above her ocean home, but she wanted to know what was out there and why Oceanus always dissuaded her from going up there. So one night, as the Titans fell asleep, she snuck out and landed on the beaches of Girasol, where she could finally see what the world that her father was warning her about was like. As the little Titan explored, however, her footsteps rumbled and shook the ground beneath her, causing much disturbance in the area. So much so that eventually the word of her got out to the king.
"Your Majesty,"
one of his guards cried out.
"We've just received word that there's a giant running amok and causing havoc in the outer village."
A giant?
He repeated, not believing a word of what they were saying, but still getting up to see for himself. Maybe the giant could be of use to him.
Now this I have to see.
So off he went, and lo and behold, they were right. There was a giant, just standing there. Well, okay, she wasn't really standing, more like sitting down and eating some of the glass from some poor peasant's mansion.
Hello, up there!
The king shouted before watching as the poor deer choked on the glass she was eating.
Oh, shit, people, wait, hi?
The Titaness exclaimed, watching as the king covered his ears before whispering.
Oh, oops, sorry. I didn't realize how small people were up here. I mean, hi.
She repeated in a quieter tone.
That's quite alright, my dear. I'm Elysium, king of this realm.
Ophelia.
The goddess replied before swallowing the mouthful of glass.
I'm a Titan.
The king laughed as she said this.
Yes, I can see that. What brings you to our land? And why are you eating glass, my dear?
Well, my father Oceanus, the lord of the oceans, you may have heard of it, has always told me to stay away from the surface world, and so I kind of wanted to know why. And as for the glass, I don't really know. It's just tasty.
She concluded, covering her mouth as she ate. The king winced as he got a look at those sharp teeth before clearing his throat.
Well, miss, I will be happy to show you around, if you'd like.
Ophelia's eyes lit up as the king said this, before swallowing and saying,
Really?
The ground shook as she used her massive black wings to shoot up into the air in order to stand.
You'd show me around?
Yes, of course, my dear.
He got a good long look at the Titaness before saying,
Of course, there is the matter of your size. You would need to shrink down in order to...
Ophelia looked down before saying,
Oh, yeah, right, of course.
And in a flash of blue light, she shrunk down to a more appropriate size. If you could call 8'6" a more appropriate size, she still towered over the king. And they were on their way. As they walked through the kingdom, the king couldn't help but gawk at Ophelia's childlike wonder, admiring the little things, how the door frames looked, or the things people made out of sea glass. She was so innocent. Almost too innocent. An idea was already hatching in the king's head as they walked. What if he could absorb the Titan's power and use it for himself? I mean, they say that when a Titan dies, they can transfer their magic to someone they trust. And she seems to have trust in him. So why not lure her into a false sense of security, and then right when she seems to have enough trust in him, splat goes the Titan. Yes, this could work. And so he did just that. Or at least he tried to. I mean, yes, the security plan worked, but the last part, well, you'll see. So one day, the king had ordered Ophelia to come over to the beach where she had first landed, saying that he had some sort of surprise for her. Ophelia, curious about what the king had said, agreed and came over to the beach.
I'm here! What's this about?
The Titan gained a confused look on her face.
Why are there so many guards here?
She asked cautiously.
Oh, they're just here for safety precautions.
Ophelia raised an eyebrow.
Okay.
She said as she sat down.
My dear sea beast, almighty glass eater, I have brought you a gift.
The king exclaimed, whistling as several of his men came by his side. The Titaness gasped as she couldn't believe her eyes. A bowl of stained glass! And it was just her size too.
Bon appetit, my dear.
The king smiled, before watching in surprise that the purple-haired Titan exclaimed,
Glass!
Her eyes lit up a dark color as she unfolded her wings and started chowing down.
It's so yummy!
Yes, well,
The king cleared his throat.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
He watched as Ophelia tilted her head in confusion.
Because it will probably be the last meal you will ever have.
Ophelia gained a confused look on her face as the king and his men came into a circle surrounding her.
What's this?
She asked in a confused tone, now standing up to her full height.
What are you doing?
Charge!
Ophelia gasped as the king's men came after her, swiftly flying up into the air and casting a shield over herself, before the men roared and started throwing their arrows at her, creating a sparkling light display as they bounced off the protective orb. She quickly used some of her strength to break the shield and blew some of the guards away with the broken parts. She swiftly flew down onto the ground before more guards came stabbing her in the leg as she came down, before she swiftly crushed them under her feet. The king looked around at the ground surrounded by his fallen men as she looked him in the eye. Thunder rumbled as the sea churned and the waves grew stronger. Immediately regretting his decision, the king trembled in his boots and backed up as the Titan came closer and closer.
Ophelia, please just, let's talk about this. I can explain everything. If you just, please listen. I wanted your power to keep me alive, so that my people could have someone to look after them for generations. I wanted...
And I wanted to believe the Titans were wrong about trusting humans. I guess we both wanted something neither of us can have.
The king's eyes widened in horror as the monstrous waves grew higher and higher, and with a loud roar from the ocean and a quick splat from the Titan's boot, the king was dead on the sandy beach floor, and his body was whisked away into the sea. As the king's body floated, however, the girl felt a twinge of guilt. Now that the king was dead, there was no one there to protect his people. I mean, it wasn't like he had any heirs, and his wife had passed on long before him. So what was there to do? After a long talk with Oceanus about what had happened up in the surface world, Ophelia had made a choice. She cast a spell on everyone in the kingdom to ensure that everyone would forget about the old king and the chaos that had unfolded when she first emerged into the human realm and shrunk down into her human form, where the people would know her as Queen Ophelia, the first and only ruler of Girasol.